Good morning. Welcome back. Today we're talking with Sasha again from the Infinite Lottery. We talked a few months back. You guys were just ramping up to do the codes, to get everything ready. And now you are ready. It seems your pre-sale is on the 22nd. So that's what, like next Wednesday?
Yeah, right around the corner.
Yeah. So welcome back, sir. How are you today?
Doing well. How are you?
Another day in the paradise, as they say. So
Absolutely.
for the people that don't know you, why don't we do that previously on, thing for them, and then we'll move on to what's new, and we'll go from there.
Sounds good. So, recap of Infinite.
Yes, please.
All right. So, we are Infinite Lottery. We're a lottery DApp that's coming out very soon. We're about to have a pre-sale, like you said, on the 22nd, starting at 7 p.m. UTC. And what we are pre-selling are NFTs. So we have div NFTs, like dividend NFTs, and we have referral NFTs. There's going to be 250 of each. And those are, of course, going to be discounted for the pre-sale. And then, when the actual DApp launches, they will no longer be discounted. But the way Infinite works, to keep it really high level, really simple for those of you who didn't tune into the last one, is it's a lottery that, as its name states, is more or less infinite. So what you do is you buy tickets, and there are different levels to the tickets. So you always buy tickets more or less on a level one. And then when the level one is filled, a winner is chosen for that round on that level. And then what happens is the tickets roll up to a level two. And after a certain amount of level ones, you have a level two. After a certain amount of level twos, you have a level three. And the prizes kind of roll up. So people win, and 30% of the rounds that you buy into, or the that you're playing in, gets drawn, and the winner gets that. But then it keeps rolling up. So as time goes on, the prizes get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, which is very fun. Because you can participate in all of the draws that are post your buy, essentially. So you buy in once, and then that ticket just keeps rolling up into each lottery level subsequent to it. So that's what makes it infinite, because you buy in once, and then you can keep playing over and over and over and over again, and you keep getting those chances to win.
Okay. All right. So how do and you need the referral thing. How do the referral things work? Like, for example, if I want to if I just want to play as a solo player, I don't want to deal with any of that stuff. I just buy. Do I need to bother with the referral NFT then?
Nope, not at all. So you can play solo. That's totally fine. And then for influencers or even people with like little groups and stuff, you're more than welcome to use a referral NFT, but you don't have to. Basically, how that works is if you're solo, you just buy in. You buy in whenever you want with how much ever you want. There is a 10 USDC minimum, but beyond that, you just buy in. And then if you have a community or you have people that you want to refer, you're totally welcome to do that. If you have a referral NFT, the way it works is if your referral wins, you essentially get to celebrate with them. So it's not like the ROI dApps where, every time you refer somebody, you get a portion of whatever, because that, can lead to like, the unaligned incentives. But with this rather, and the kind of one of the really fun things about it is everybody gets to celebrate together. So if I refer you and you win, that's when I get, when I essentially get paid, when you get a referral reward. And that way, especially if you're an influencer like you can have me on and be like, Sasha just won, and that's amazing. It's so cool now having it on, and he's going to tell me he's going to Disney World, that kind of thing. So what we're all about here at Infinite is aligning incentives. Like we don't want any adversarial culture. We don't want it to be like, I'm taking your money, you're my exit liquidity. We don't want any of that. We want people to celebrate together, and we want to bring communities together to celebrate. That's what we're all about.
not to get off topic or anything like that, but I hate that word influencer. I'm not trying to influence anybody. I can barely influence myself. So that's it.
I
That's
feel
all I want
what
to say.
what do you prefer?
Um,
YouTuber
I like it. I like the idea of being a cautionary tale for good or
ah
ill. I'm a cautionary. Like
all right. For all
sometimes,
you cautionary tailors out there,
yes,
that's what it's
I'm
for.
a cautionary tale. That's what I am. I like that. Okay, so I like that mechanic. I think that's part of the thing I like that makes it different. And I'm trying to think about a versus kind of thing, like my dysfunctional place versus your dysfunctional place, like, and can it ever be like head to head kind of like that? Can there be like like a side? I know that you have the main thing going, but I'm curious if there's like a versus angle with that, because since you brought that up, where it's like about winning together. So I could see something like where um what's that, where like coworkers will get together every week and put money into the lottery, and if they win they do this and do that. I could see like an ongoing battle between two communities, and the pot gets bigger, blah blah blah. Is
Actually, yeah. So,
Okay.
now that I mean you brought it up, not me, right? So there is something that we're working on. We're not going to launch with it because it's
Hmm.
kind of on the side, but something that we want to do that's on the roadmap because we have so many roadmap items for this lottery. Is like there's so many things in the future coming, but one of the things that we were thinking about is what would essentially be like a multi-sig kind of wallet contract for the lottery. So what people could do, because in the real world with grass and trees and things like that, you people do that exactly. They pull together some money um, for a lottery or for a scratcher or whatever, and then if they win, they split it amongst themselves. Which in the real world is cool, but then you always hear those stories about one person won, didn't tell anybody about it, and then they ran away with all the money. But with the blockchain, what we can do is make that automatic. So if you have a factory contract that's kind of like a multi-sig wallet, you could have everybody put money into that. The wallet or it's a contract, but we'll call it a wallet. The wallet buys the tickets. If the wallet wins, then it splits the winnings amongst all the people who put into it. And that way you're increasing your odds to win because you're buying in with more money than if you
Hmm.
had just bought in by yourself, which is really fun, and you get to play with your friends. And I feel like that's less adversarial. I'd still consider that cooperative because you're, pulling together with other people, but you totally could. You could have more than one um, community kind of tracking stats against each other, that sort of thing. There's a lot of fun that you could have with that kind of thing. But we're not going to launch with that. I just wanted to throw that out there. That's on the roadmap for post launch.
Okay. It just seems to like naturally build up to that.
It
Okay.
does, and it's a really fun idea. Mike is the one who came up with that idea, so hats off to him for that one.
So let's go back a little bit. I think one of the things that for me personally is I'm kind of seeing this as your first day out, kind of, right? So for me, this I have a different perspective than most people. I some devs I just watch them and I see their progressions and so on. So for me, this is like your first day out, kind of, right? Um,
Yeah, first DApp for sure, or for
yeah.
me in particular. Yeah.
Well, it's like your first show out. Like your
Hmm.
first. You've been doing things in the background. You've been honing your skills. You've been learning. You've been I've been watching. I've seen what you're doing, and you know I'm a fan. So my
Hmm.
question is,
Hmm.
um, why don't you also give us a small recap of uh, what got you into DeFi for the people that don't know you, um, and also how that has affected your approach to building this app.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got into DeFi, um, what was it, like 2.5, maybe going on 3 years ago. I forget which
Hmm.
year exactly. The years go by fast, man. Um, but I got in through a Medium article. So I saw a Medium article about drip. And I was like, what is this? This is the coolest thing I've ever heard. I need to know more now. And prior to that point, I had been sort of interested in crypto, but I hadn't really dipped my toes in. But after getting involved with that, I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever heard. I need to get in this. And then I just started, researching, and I made a wallet, and it was the most terrifying 5 minutes of my life when I was transferring money from like, wherever uh, crypto.com to my actual wallet. Hitting the button for the first time, you're like, this is just going to go into nowhere. And then I'm never going to see this money again. So that was terrifying. Um, and then I just kind of hung out. So I hung out in all the chats. I had no intentions of developing in the space. I didn't want to really interact with anybody, talk with anybody. I just lurked for, probably a few months. I lurked. Um, and then in the chat, so by day I'm a data engineer, so I'm kind of coding and doing whatever during the day. And then what happened was in the chats, I would see people get compromised all the time. They'd be like, "There's a bot on my account. I got compromised. Somebody got my seed phrase. I got hacked. Whatever." And it happens a lot, like a lot. Way more than anybody uh, could probably imagine. It's insane. Um, and there were not a lot of options for those people. So what I started doing was poking around. Matthew, if you guys know Matthew, was one of the original white hats
Oh, I
over
do.
in Drip. And so I reached out to him one day, and I was because I know he helped people, and I was like, "Hey, do you need any help doing this? It's kind of an interesting thing, an interesting space." And he was basically like, "Get lost. You could be a scammer. I don't know you." He was nicer than that, but that's pretty much the vibe I got. But he was totally correct. Like anybody reaches out to me and they're like, "Hey, I want to help you," I'm like, no, go get lost. Um, so from there, I was like, okay, well, I'm still interested in it. So I started Googling around, building my own bots. Um, Ray, I think I saw Ray in the chat earlier, is one of the guys early on who I hooked up with in the community and kind of gave me a lay of the land. I remember once, I think it was right before Animal Farm launched, I want to say, or maybe the Garden. I got a bunch of money stuck on ETH, and Ray helped me out and taught me how to bridge it back. Uh, and so I got started with a couple of people building bots, fighting scammers, fighting other bots and hackers and whatever. And it's kind of led me to here. So I had no intention of being public in the space, even when I started white hatting. I didn't really want to be a public figure. I didn't think I was gonna be, but then I got more popular because you know, yeah, as you help people, people talk about you. So
Hmm.
that
You
led me
actually
to this.
fell into a career.
Well, yeah, essentially. It's evolved organically, and it is not at all what I intended to do, but it's been really fun and it's been fascinating. And like I came in basically at the end of the bull and then been just like chilling in this bear, waiting for the next bull. But it's been awesome, and there's so many cool people, and there's a lot of scammers and a lot of not cool people. But some of the genuine people that you meet in the chats, it's like these guys are all over the world. You would never meet these people in real life, except for through crypto and the things that bring us together, which is one of the really fun parts of I think the general crypto community is that for as much salt and spite and hate as there is out there, there's a lot of really cool, genuine, helpful people who are just doing their thing, and we all want to succeed together, and it's fun. It's a really good time. And so to go back to your question, because that was a really long-winded way to say, um, I'm all about crypto safety. Like uh, everybody listening, keep your seed phrase safe. If anybody has your seed phrase, they have unrestricted, unrevocable access to your account. So keep that safe, locked on paper in a safe somewhere. Never store it digitally. Um, and when it comes to DApps, be careful with your permissions and stuff like that you give out, all of your approvals. Uh, because that stuff can get you wrecked. And it happens a lot more than I know I already said this, but it happens a lot more than you'd expect. Just today, literally today, a couple hours ago, scammer hit me up, showed me an account, and was like, hey, can you help me get this money out? And I was like, no. Are you serious? It's not yours. It was very obvious. It's very obvious this guy's a scammer. Um, and then he sent
Yeah.
me another account that had less money in it, and he was like, what about this one? And I was like, no, it's not yours. Leave it alone. It's crazy. It's
Yeah, yeah. To add some context to that. I mentioned it in the last AMA. You did help. One of the people that you helped was my niece, because she did she did something dumb, but that's a different story.
it,
So
it happens, man.
it does. But and I didn't mean it that way, because and I get why she did it. She just woke up at like 2 in the morning and something, and she had been a long day, and she got an email that looked really official, and it said that her thing got compromised. So she just, like, panicked and was like, "Let me go change it quickly," you know.
Mm,
So
hmm
and I think it was some social engineering too in there. But anyways, I digress. I remember you trying to verify with her and the things that you did to make sure that it was her wallet. So yes, I can. I like that part. That's pretty cool. I just wanted to add context to that part.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah, absolutely. There are a lot of scammers out there, and some of them are really tricky. Some of them are not, but some of them are.
yeah, the, it's weird, right? Because you normally want to tell people, if it sounds too good to be true, it is. But at the same time, there are those instances where it is actually that good, and it's rare and it's hard to weed those out, especially in the crypto space. But there are those places and those opportunities here, which is
Yeah,
why we're here. Which is what
magic
makes
internet money.
for real. It's like, they say money doesn't grow on trees. It is in my virtual brain, the tree I have in there. Going back to the forgive the tangent. Let's go back to the topic. So,
Yep.
what is new since the last time we've talked, sir?
So biggest thing is the pre-sale. It's very exciting. It's been a long road. We've been working at this for a while now. Progress is, yeah, dev work is for those who aren't in the dev space. Like, things always take longer. And I'm 1,000% guilty of this too. Even in my day job, I'll be like, yeah, I can do that by like tomorrow. I'm good. And then 2 weeks later, I'm like, oh shit, I didn't do that thing yet. So that's kind of par for the course. But we've been trucking along, refining, building out more use cases and building out a roadmap, and really figuring out where we want to take this DApp. So we're ready for the pre-sale, and then shortly after the pre-sale, no hard dates yet, but we're probably looking at mid to late December is when we're going to actually launch, which is very exciting. We're right at the cusp there, where we just need the last stretch where we put everything into code, test it, make sure it's bulletproof, and then launch.
Okay, so, what is the goal for the pre-sale? Is there minimums, maximums?
So
What's
there
the
are
timeline?
maximums. So it's 250 of each NFT. The referral NFTs, in the real world, when the real DApp launches, there will be no caps. So like anybody can get a referral NFT, and we did that as a low barrier to entry, because if you want to build a team, you should build a team. There shouldn't be like a big, like you have to shell out hundreds and hundreds of dollars to be to have people be able to use your referral. So those, for the pre-sale, are going to be $25, and then in the real world, I believe it's 45, if I'm not mistaken. It's either 45 or 50, but something like that. So, and the idea there was so that if your referral wins at a low level, you're going to like ROI real fast, and that was the idea. So to keep it cheap, make the ROI fast. Um, to kind of incentivize people to tell their friends and share and stuff like that, and celebrate with their friends, as that's the goal. And then we have the dividend NFT, which is a very exciting structure. It's very cool. So that one's capped out. So in the pre-sale, we're just gonna sell, or we're gonna have 250 be able to be minted. And then in the real world, in the real DApp, it'll be capped out at 1,500. And for each round, or if each I guess I could call it a round, each round that gets drawn, the div pool, or some percentage of it gets sent to a div pool that gets split among the NFT holders. And why that is so cool, and this is one of the really fun things about the dividend NFT that I like, is that since it's capped out at 1,500 of them, as time goes on, the divs are going to get bigger because the prizes are going to get bigger as we go from level ones to twos to threes to fours. It's only going to get larger. And then because the supply's capped out, the value of them is going to also increase. So they're going to give bigger divs as time goes on, while the supply of them gets lower and lower, and eventually it'll hit zero because, 1,500 isn't really that much. And we did that on purpose because we want people to, get a lot out of these NFTs. We want, the early people and the folks, in these communities that we're, doing AMAs and stuff to get, the a good ROI out of it. Because we see it as great value, and there's a lot more even beyond just the main lottery that's going to be feeding this dividend NFT, which is kind of fun and exciting.
Okay. And what's this? You wanted me to share some pictures. What do these pictures denote? Can you go over them with me? And in the meantime, if anybody in here has any questions, you're all unmuted. Feel free to participate. Crypto God, I think you had a question, sir, earlier, you said. And Sasha.
Sure. Am I explaining or answering? I'm down to do either.
Explain the photo so far.
Okay, so the global vision. So this is like a kind of a microcosm of what the I guess ecosystem is going to look like. So we have, let me actually pull this up on my computer, because my phone is tiny. Give me 1 second.
No, I'm not going to make that joke. I'm going to let it go.
Sorry, I forgot if I click on it on my computer, it will it'll kick me out of here on my phone.
So if someone wins one time, can they win numerous times in more than one round?
Yes, they can. So when we say your tickets are good for infinity, they really are. So let's say let's use some numbers here. So we have level ones that cap out at $1,000, and that's when they get drawn, or 1,000 tickets, 1,000 USDC, all the same. So let's say you put in 1,000 tickets, you buy 1,000 tickets, you're gonna win that level one because you capped out the whole thing. So that level one, you win, you get your 30%, and then those tickets roll up along with some, we call them ROI tickets, to the next level. And then when they go up, they get pulled together, everybody else's. When that level 2 gets drawn, that you're in, then your tickets from the level 1s and anything else you participated in are still active in that level 2. After that level 2 is drawn, goes up to level 3. When the level 3 is drawn, you still have all those tickets. So that's what we really mean by infinite, is when you buy in, your tickets are going to continue rolling upwards, and you're going to get a chance at winning all of those bigger prizes as well. So the L1s are fun because, it's like a little, a little thing. You basically get some of your money back right away, more or less, if you put in, more than a full round. But then you get all these tickets that'll have a chance to continue winning as you go up.
Oh, so after you've won, say you've bought 1,000 tickets, and after you've won one ticket, 999 would go up to the next round.
I actually think they're actually all going to go up. Uh,
Okay.
I'm relatively certain. I don't think we're excluding the actual winning ticket because they're kind of amalgamated a little bit, so they're all kind of like pulled together. So you actually get, even because these ROI tickets, you even get more. So on the first level, from the L1 to the L2, there's I believe it's 20% ROI ticket bonus. So you're even going to get more tickets as you go up to the level 2. So if you buy 1,000, the ROI is 20. So then you'll get 200 bonus tickets that'll go through L1s and then go up to the L2. That part can get, especially talking, can get a little confusing. But if you look at the some of the docs, it's a little more clear. But basically, every L1, every ticket that goes through an L1, and you'll always buy in at an L1, generally speaking, is going to get a 20% bonus to bumped up to the when it goes into a level 2.
Okay. What promotes sustainability? I'm trying to figure out. I know people will rush in to for their chance to win. Let's say it's been rolling for about 3 months, and the income flow has slowed down. The people coming in. Will the rounds get smaller? How is money generated to keep the games rolling and interesting?
Yeah, no, so I love that question because that's what we just spent a lot of time kind of hashing out, that exact thing. So one thing that's really important with the lottery, before I go into the sustainability stuff, is that we're not launching a token. Um, so there's no inflation or
Okay.
anything like that. We're not launching a token. The NFTs are well, separate. They're kind of on the side. And there's no uh, what's the word? There's never going to be a prize drawn that the pot can't pay. So that was something really big in the beginning when we were talking about the model that I went over a lot, for like the math, that to make sure that the pot can never be drained. So if we draw a winner for something, that those divs can be paid out. Um, so there's no with miners, you have, whatever beans, and then you try to withdraw them, and there's no, BNB or USDC or whatever in the contract. That can't happen. So every single pot is always accounted for. And there's no inflation, and we did it with USDC, so it's always, the same, uh, value for the tickets, and well, ideally, it's always the same value for the tickets and the tokens. So that's the first part. And then the second half of that is you're absolutely right. So as these pots get bigger, when we're talking like L6, 7, 8, the prizes are huge. So,
Mm-hmm.
the natural life cycle of a DApp is there's like all this interest. It's super exciting. And then everybody, buys in and whatever. And then, a week later, it kind of dips. And then you'll go through another boom and bust cycle, whatever. And then eventually, you're right. Things will chill out. There'll be, whatever the new hotness is. And you're right. It could totally wane. And that's one of the things that we want to work on from a marketing perspective, is to kind of smooth out that boom and bust cycle. But eventually, even if it's 3 years down the road,
Would, would
things are going to chill
scratch
out.
off tickets be something that was like, because you're mentioning lottery, and when you say lottery, I think everything lotto. Um, so like something like a token scratch off, it might be like USDC, uh, Bitcoin, ETH, and people put their money in there and they scratch off, and whichever one that they get three of, they can win, that. And it would be like a bonus that you could get depending on how you spent and stuff like that. I don't know. But lotto.
Oh yeah, for sure. We didn't specifically have Scratchy or like Scratchers as like a something that we might do down the road. But you're right, when it comes to lottery stuff, I mean, people love lotteries, raffles. We have this weekly spin that I can talk about later.
Okay.
Scratchers, all sorts of things. But actually, before I hop into that, I just want to go back to the sustainability thing. So what I really needed to make sure that we prepared for was the day that nobody buys tickets. So
Okay.
because it'll happen. As
Yeah.
much as I think we're going to do awesome, it's totally going to happen eventually where people stop buying tickets for whatever reason. And part of that is going to be, like marketing or whatever, but the actual DApp itself has to be able to handle that situation. And that's what we designed. So we designed what I call it as an anti-stall mechanism where in the event that nobody's buying tickets, we can still keep the rounds going and we can still keep the wheels turning so that there's not just like all this money stuck in a contract that no one's ever going to see again, because that would be really unfortunate. Can you imagine having like, $5 million just stuck in a contract that's not going to go anywhere because we need $200,000 more to like keep the wheels moving? That'd be crazy, right? So
Mhm.
the way it works more or less, I'm not going to go into super details, but um, it's it after a certain amount of time passes, if tickets aren't being bought, it's going to start quote unquote buying tickets. And I say quote unquote because it's not putting actual money in, it's just kind of removing the tickets. And then once it removes the tickets needed to close the open L1, it's going to close it, run it, pick a winner, and then keep those funds moving. And so that it can close all the way up the line. And then that way, at no point in time are we just stalled out and just, sitting on a ton of cash that we're waiting for more cash to unlock, Nigerian Prince style. Because that would be, the worst. That'd be terrible.
So is the system when as the system say the round does do what you just said, as the system removes the tickets, would the system have the opportunity to win itself? Say that it was supposed to have 500 people for the round and only 250 people join, and the system had to remove another 250 tickets. Would the system have a 50% chance of winning, or would it be negated from the round and only the actual people that bought tickets would win?
I love how you're thinking because you're like right on the same wavelength than me. So we talked about that, and whether we want to allocate tickets to the div holders or whatever. We decided against it. So specifically because we always want the dollars the dollars to be accounted for. So the tickets that get removed are not going to be allocated towards the system. But that's totally something we talked about. Like,
Okay.
do we take these tickets and then if the quote unquote pot wins, then it goes to the div holders, that kind of stuff. But no, we're not going to do it that way. So what's going to happen is, let's say there's an L1, it's filled up with 800 tickets, it needs 200 more to close. Over time, if nobody's buying tickets, that's going to get fewer and fewer and fewer. So, it'll one at a time, it'll basically take a ticket away. And in doing that, one of the other cool things is that uh, the fewer tickets in that round as it's taking tickets away, it's essentially shrinking the supply of that round, making it more enticing for
Mm.
somebody to snipe in to have a larger, an outsized chance to win that particular round.
Is there any
And
benefit to waiting then to the end?
kind of. So usually when it comes to sniping, and this isn't just this DApp, it's just DApps in general and life in general. When you wait, what you're really gaining is information. If you think about like the other DApps that have auction style systems, um, like what was that one? Avarice, whatever, like that kind. So it's one of those things. I never say it out loud. I just say it in my head. You're just like, how do you pronounce it? I don't know.
Sorry. I just went back to the way I used to say it. Avarice.
Avarice. Yeah. Hey, whatever you say in your head. But if you think back to that, there were essentially two strats, right? There was the people who just bought in whenever, and then the people who sniped at the end. The snipers, they have the same bag, at the beginning and the end. The difference is that your information is different, so you know how big the pot is, and then you can make the call at the end whether you want to snipe or not. And it's the same here. Like, you could wait, And then you'd have more information of like, how big the actual pot is going to be for that round that you're trying to snipe into. But does it really make a difference at the end of the day? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I see it as like personally, I see it as like a kind of go, no go thing. Like if it meets your criteria for what you want to snipe into, then you do it. Totally cool. If it doesn't, then you have that option to back out. And that's really the only, major advantage. But that being said, there is something that we're going to launch with a feature because people love sniping so much that will allow you to snipe into a specific round. And this was a really cool innovation thought of by Semi. I don't want to take credit for this one because this is all Semi. It was really cool. But basically, in the normal lottery, whenever you buy a ticket, it's at the L1 level. So you buy a ticket or you get an ROI ticket or whatever, it flows into an L1. And then that goes to an L2, that goes to an L3, it kind of rolls its way up. But with the sniping feature that we're going to implement, you can essentially buy into a side pot of that round specifically. So your tickets aren't going to roll anywhere afterwards. But if you see an advantage for sniping a particular round, like let's say, there's an L3 with how many ever thousands of dollars, and you're like, I want to snipe into that because I want to just win that. You can do that now, which is going to be a lot of fun. So sniping is like one of those gamification things that everybody loves, and makes things really interesting, and provides incentives for people beyond just the normal, just set it and forget it kind of strategy and attitude. So I think it'll be a lot of fun, and I think it'll be something that people really enjoy doing, because then you can track the contract and you can see like, this one makes sense to snipe into, but this one doesn't. Or if you see, big opportunity, because I'm getting a little ahead of myself. But one of the things that's cool about sniping in our lottery is that rounds cap out and close at a certain number. So like L1s, they're all gonna, once they get to 1,000 tickets, they close. There's not gonna be like 1,300 tickets in any L1 or anything. It's gonna close at 1,000. So if you have your bag or whatever, and what you want to put in and snipe with is going to close the round, then you just locked out all other snipers, and you can't, assuming yours is the one that goes through, you close the round, and then you know exactly what your odds are, and you know exactly what you sniped into, and you can calculate all of that in advance, because it caps out and you're the one who closed it, so you closed that round. Which is going to be fun. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity for people who want that added excitement of sniping, along with the people who just want to play, set it and forget it. You buy in, and then every day, every 4 hours, whatever the cadence of round closing is, you just pop in. You're like, did I win? Did I not win? And then for those who want a more active role in it, they can totally do that too.
Is there like a whale mechanic in there? Because like when you mentioned the 1,000 tickets, there are people out there that they have no problem buying all 1,000 tickets, and they know that they've won that round. Is there a cap on like how many tickets someone can buy for each round? Like L1, L2, is there a cap?
Yeah, that's a good question. And is it per wallet?
Yeah, that is a really good question. That's something we talked about pretty extensively, whether we wanted the ability for somebody to buy entire rounds, essentially, and how we would support that, especially with the code, because it got a little hairy. But the short answer is that there aren't any limits. So if you want to come in with 100K and you want to buy a ridiculous number of rounds and just win those rounds, you can. So the way it works, and the way that it would work in the contract is, let's say you have $10,000 that you want to drop. So what that does automatically right off the bat is whatever L1 exists that's open, you're going to close that, because your 10,000 is way more. So let's say there was like 500 tickets left in the existing L1 when you bought in. That's going to close, and then you have a 50-50 shot at winning that because you bought half the tickets. Then the next, what is that, 9 that open are all going to be yours. All the L1s, you're going to be the only person in them. So those next 9, you're just going to win. So every single one of those, you are the winner because you're the only participant. Then it's going to, with the remaining 500, it's going to open a new L1. But then what's interesting, so then you'll have 500 tickets in that 10th L1, or maybe 11th. I'm just talking out loud. I think it's the 11th, but yeah, you'll have half of those. But then what's going to happen is you get your ROI tickets, and so for each L1 that got drawn, that you were of course the winner for because you're the winner because you're the only tickets in there. You're going to have those ROI tickets, which is 20% of each, so it's 200 per L1 that you won, is going to go into another L1. Now, there is not guaranteed ordering for the ROI tickets. There is a guaranteed ordering if you purchase a large enough number so that you close a round and then win like an entire or multiple entire L1s. But the ROI tickets aren't guaranteed ordered. So that 11th round that you opened and filled 500, half of, the ROI tickets won't necessarily fill up the rest of that. So that 11th round, you may or may not have your ROI tickets in it. They could be in a future subsequent round. But you did win 9 rounds, and you got a 30%. 30% is the pot. So you got 30, I don't know, what is that, $2,700 or something? Just boom, like right off the bat, you just got that back. And then all of those tickets, all of those, like, I'm not sure exactly I'm sure it'll be like 14,000 tickets or something crazy, will all go up to L2. And then you'll have a massive chance at winning that L2. And then when the L2 gets drawn and the other L2s get drawn, it rolls up to L3. You'll have that's a much bigger round at L3. But you'll have a pretty big chance there too, and it just keeps rolling up. So that's the fun of it, that you have this immediate hit of dopamine that's going to happen, but then you get all this other stuff afterwards in future rounds where you can be like, well, did I win? You can check it. If you get see a round that that you're playing in is being drawn, you're like, shit, well, I got odds over there. What are my odds? And then you can go check that, for basically the rest of the life of the DApp.
I have a couple questions for you.
Absolutely.
The first question is simple. Can you give us a sneak peek at the UI? Right?
We can on the website. I think Mike sent it, if I'm not mistaken.
Let me look. Inbox.
There are changes that we're going to make to the UI, but it is in existence. So sneak peek wise, Mike can send it again if.
I found it.
Yeah, or George.
Let me look. I think. Okay, coming soon.
Oh yeah, and then George just sent the NFT page, which is where the pre-sale is going to be.
And he sent it where? Where did he send it?
In the lounge, just now.
Okay.
Yep.
I wasn't looking there. Okay. Copy. And while we're waiting, my second question is, if we could take a step back again, please. For the people that don't know, I'm not talking about me because I know everything. What the hell is the difference between a lottery and a raffle? I'm lying. I can never get my head straight around what the hell the difference is a raffle between what's the difference between a raffle and a lottery, and which side is this leaning towards? I know it's called Infinite Lottery, but I've still seen other dApps that still kind of feel like a raffle more than a lottery. So if you could explain that, please, and then also which one do you fall into?
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of nuance there. So, especially with something like this, you could probably argue for either, depending on what specific aspects you're kind of focusing in on. But what I just did, which is very fun, is I just chat GPT'd it. So,
Yours is working, you bastard.
Hold on. Before ChatGPT tells you, she knows the answer, right? So I've said that a lottery is where that there can only be the winners of the lottery can happen, but there can also be no winners inside of a lottery, and then the round gets rolled over. In a raffle, there's always a winner. At the end of the round, there's always a winner, and that is the difference between a raffle and a lottery.
Can I jump in on this one?
Yes, please.
Absolutely.
A fundamental difference between a raffle and a lottery is that the raffle always has a winner. Yep. An example, the purchase tickets, like you said, are entered into a raffle draw, where the lottery it may return a non-winning result. That's as simple as it is. It's beauty.
Okay.
The pot gets larger with a lottery.
Okay. Thank you. So
love that.
Draw is definitely a raffle.
A raffle. Yes, it was a raffle. They pushed it as a lottery, but it was really a raffle.
Okay. I wasn't trying to. It's one of those little nuances escape me sometimes.
Yeah, no worries. This would also be a raffle because when there is a draw, there will be a winner. So if that is the criteria we're using,
but then it emulates that because you have money going up to become a lottery. So that's what was confusing the fuck out of me. Forgive my friend.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think that kind of like what I was saying before, it's what you focus on, right? Because there's a lot to it. And so if we're talking about, is there a winner at each drawing? The answer is yes. So if we're using that criteria, it is a raffle. If we're talking about money moving from pot to pot because it goes, rolls up from an L1 to an L2 to an L3, that style is, I guess, more lottery-like. Another thing I'll say, based on this, quick skim of ChatGPT, is that if you're categorizing yourself as a lottery, not that we're run by any government or institution, there's more regulations around it, but we're also not any sort of, government or institution. We're just a DeFi project, out here trying to have some fun. So all that said, it probably makes more sense to categorize us as a raffle, which I agree with. Don't think it really matters a ton, to be honest, from my perspective. It's like, I don't want to get out here in the legal weeds of anything. That's not my area of expertise.
Okay. While you were doing that, I was thinking of names. A raffery.
Look, the only difference is that with the lottery, the jackpot gets larger and larger because when there's no winner, part of the jackpot would go back into the system to feed the jackpot, and then part of it would go towards like developer fee and things like that. And the jackpot would get larger and like if it got bigger, it would get bigger probably by 40 to 60% every round, or 80% every round, and then 20% would go towards, advertising and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's not really our model. So I guess we are pretty squarely in the raffle kind of range, I would say. Because there will be a winner. There is every draw. There is like a team percentage. So on our docs, you'll see the team percent. I think it's usually 3% is going to team, and that's what's going to be used for like marketing and side prizes and things like that.
Is that under token distribution, or where is that under? So I can put it on screen.
It
is. I see it,
1.1%.
Okay, total difference of NFT supply 1,500. 1.1% for the team, 6.6 for ambassadors, 92% open market.
Actually, no, it's probably not that. There's a graph, or not a graph, but like a diagram that shows the breakdown percentage from like L1s to L2s to L3s. Not that one. It's like with a bunch of boxes. It might be near the bottom. I forget which one it is exactly. It also doesn't help that I can't, with the resolution on my phone, I can't actually see your screen. Zavi said, infinite raffle doesn't sound so good.
No, but rafflery.
Rafflery. Yeah, for V2, we'll put in a plug.
You could get like Daffy Duck to come do it at rafflery,
Raffled up.
That's funny.
Sorry. Okay. Yes, raffle, lottery, sneak peek. Okay, you answered my questions. Any other questions? Okay, yes, another question since we're on that subject. Let's go back to where are you guys getting paid? I know you told me last time, but for the people here, where are you guys getting paid? How are you getting paid? How much are you getting paid?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So actually, if you go to, I pulled it up on my computer. If you go to visual summary on the white paper, it's the second from the bottom. It might be kind of hard to see, but if you zoom in there, the 3% for the team. So on every draw, there's a small amount that's going to go over to us. And then, no, that's actually pretty much it. That's just how it goes. So that's the like dev fee essentially for on each raffle is 3% for us. Realistically, most of that's probably going to go to marketing because as we're finding out, marketing is expensive. But that's what we're going to kind of keep or use to keep the wheels turning, so that we can, spread the word about Infinite Lottery, and whatever's left over is for us.
Nice. So 3% every level. And
Mm-hmm.
so
every draw.
Every draw, not level.
Well, it actually turned out to be the same because it's percentage, right? So it wouldn't matter if it was draw or level, but yeah. There's a breakdown of every single draw has a breakdown of how the funds from it are gonna, or like where they're gonna go. So you can think of it like from a draw, using this visual summary. 20% of it, so on $1,000, that'd be 200, would go to ROI tickets. And then, 30% is going to go to the winner, 30% is going to roll up, and then 10% is going to go to the dividend NFTs, which is a pretty exciting part because that 10% at later levels gets crazy, and it's very cool. 5% for referral winners. So if your referral won, 5% goes to you, 3% for the team, and then 2% goes to the weekly pot, which is also called the so I guess it's just the weekly pot, yeah. And so that can grow on the side as rounds get closed.
Okay.
And then that ideally adds up to 100. It does, but I just wasn't doing it in my head.
I want people to be paid. I like people getting paid. I'm a big fan of people getting paid because, you made the.
Can there be more than one winner?
No. So, well, okay, I'll caveat that. So the one account, meaning like one account that bought tickets wins when a round is chosen. But that being said, I did describe something earlier that we're not launching with, but is on the roadmap for shortly after launch, where people can pool together and then enter under one kind of like multi-sig wallet. And then if that wallet wins, it splits the divs between the people based on how they bought in. So if you want to pull together with people in the future, not at launch, but in the future, you totally can. I think that's, for me, that's a really fun use case.
I have the name for it.
Ooh.
The water cooler raffle.
That's pretty fun. The water cooler raffle. Okay. Did you just ChatGPT that real quick?
No.
Yeah, knowing him, he used it.
No, I mean, you watch me make that shit up.
We didn't watch shit. We
I'm
didn't
on
watch
camera.
shit.
No, it was barred. It had to be barred because
No,
ChatGPT's down for you. So
no, seriously, ChatGPT's down and bar. No, I'm not. That was me. You're welcome. Yeah,
as an original,
yeah. What was it again? I forgot. What did I
the
say?
water cooler raffle.
Yes, the water, because that's what it makes me think of. It makes me think of, like, 'cause that's where you usually, like, you're in the break room, they're by the water raffle, the water cooler thing, and they're like talking about raffles. Yeah, I see that. You're welcome.
That's pretty fun. Yeah.
I will take part of that 3% fee. Thank you very much.
Well, we'll change it slightly. It'll be a water fountain raffle, so we don't have to pay you any royalty.
Facts.
Water fountain raffery.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to get a duck to do it. It's got to be like Howard the Duck. Any other questions from the audience? I think my questions are done. The 22nd, and then your launch date is.
We're shooting for mid-December, thereabouts.
What blockchain?
Oh yeah, it's on BSC. Yeah, good call.
Oh yes, partnerships so far. Anything in the background that you've signed? Anything that you can tell me about? Any spoilers? Tell me.
So there are a lot of ideas, and there are some communities that we have either reached out to or have reached out to us. Nothing official yet. So one thing that was important, well, earlier in the bear, we had a lot of ideas for partnerships and different communities and things like that. But we didn't want to make ourselves essentially fully revolve around something else. We wanted the ability to stay independent and operate independently, but also interoperate with communities, as opposed to like building yourself around a certain community or project. That was something important to us to be able to, because you never know what's going to happen, right? So if if we centered ourselves around, I don't know, whatever project, and that whatever project had some difficulties or something like that, you don't want to be taken down by that project. Or it also works in the reverse, right? Because when a project does really well and you're tied to them, then you also do really well. I had some really fun ideas for things that we could do in conjunction with other communities. It's not something we actually officially put on the roadmap yet, but it might be something that we do, in the near future, especially with the potential bull looming around the corner. Who knows? Or with all these governments printing money, who knows what's going to happen? But yeah, so no spoilers yet. But we are open to things like that and have been chatting with people about things like that, but nothing official yet.
It's 11 a.m. Make a wish, guys. Sorry. Okay. Oh, I did do a ChatGPT thing, a ChatGPT write-up thing from the last time we talked. I'm going to share it in the room right now, actually.
Ooh, excellent.
And here are the questions. What questions did it ask? Follow-up questions for the next AMA. Okay, I found it. How does Infinite Lottery plan to expand its user base and reach new audiences? Other question was security measures. What are the security measures in place to protect these? I know that you're doing the white hat thing. Do you have a backup team that's doing the audits? Who's going to be doing the audits? The next question is future developments. Are there any upcoming features? Blah blah blah. Community engagement. And yeah, impact assessment. I guess that was the one I wanted to see. What do you think? I like that question at the end. The impact assessment, based on what since you guys have embarked on this road, right? And you've announced things. Do you think that has changed DeFi a little? Do you think you guys have made any waves, or am I putting the cart before the horse?
I don't think yet. I think one of for us and for probably for me in particular, but I'm going to speak for all of us because I'm the one here. Um, in DeFi, there's a lot of tribalism. You have X community, Y community, this other group, you know, whatever. Of course, I'm not going to name any specific things, but like you have all these tribes of people who are so hyper focused on their thing, um, and so hyper focused on destroying the other things that it can get a little crazy, right? I mean, we've all been in the chats. There's a lot of it, and some of it is fun, right? Like poking fun at another project or developer, whatever. It can be a lot of fun. It's not like it's not all bad, but it gets taken to this extreme, where like rumors are started and like people's intentions and integrity and like all this stuff. It's gotten a little out of hand, in my opinion, personally. Um, and for me in Infinite Lottery, like I don't want any of that. I want a place where people can come together from different communities, celebrate together, not be worried about like their token mooning or like somebody being exit liquidity for somebody else's token, and like taking all of that adversarialness off the table and just having fun with a DApp, with I keep wanting to call it an ROI DApp. It's not an ROI DApp, it's a lottery, or I guess a raffle DApp. But somewhere where people can be civil and there's no like competing I don't know what the word is, but I guess tribalism. That's what I'm interested in creating. That's the kind of community that we want to cultivate, which is why the incentives are the way they are, to celebrate with your community as opposed to competing against one another, because that it can take you kind of far, and but it's not really the way forward. And hopefully this next bull has less of that. It probably won't, knowing people, but we can always try and we can always hope.
Off the top of my head again, since you were what you were just saying, it just brought up something else in my mind. It would be amazing to have like these one-off token raffles, right? Let's say, for example, I go and I buy $1,000 worth of Bitcoin, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I dump it into this pot, and then people buy raffle tickets to go in it, and winner gets all, and it's a one-time thing, and it's done, it's over, all seamless, all blockchain. That would be cool. Sorry, that's a whole different project.
I mean, but things like that. So we actually do. I'm not going to explain it too much, but we have something kind of that esque. It's like kind of like along those lines. We have something in the pipeline.
It would be like another way to look at it would be like a sponsored event, like okay, or a scholarship, like that. I have this extra 2,000 here. I'm gonna put it over here, and you got to do this and that and that, and you're gonna win the pot if you do this and that and that. Blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
So then you could have your partnerships with other communities would be then that. Like you go to I don't know. Give me a project. I don't want to pick anyone. I can't think.
I know, right?
Pick
the water cooler. The water cooler.
Yes. You go to the water cooler people, and they give you like they want to raffle for their community, and they go $10,000 worth of raffle cooler raffity money in the pool, right? And they sell little. Then your mechanics take over. So now it's a pre-funded pool. They're guaranteed to win a hell of a lot more than they put in, and blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, stuff like that is definitely what we're going to be leaning towards when we're doing partnerships and when we're doing like more official things. And then also the other piece of it with its kind of the future, one things on the future roadmap is for these kinds of things not just to be through us and to be more grassroots and organic. So like if I'm whatever water cooler DeFi developer, and I want to do something like that, I can go in and set up my pool or whatever, and then promote to, the community being like, we're having this raffle, whatever. Uh, I'm kind of speaking a little bit out of turn because we haven't talked through all of this stuff, but in my head, that's kind of how it would work. Uh, but we'll see. We'll see where the roadmap goes. We have so much stuff on the roadmap. It's is sometimes a little overwhelming, but there's a lot of really cool stuff coming, and there's so many different ways. And even you guys have been talking about, there's so many different ways that we can take this in the future. It's going to make for a lot of fun.
Let me do my unfair asshole question now.
Oh, right? Absolutely.
My unfair asshole question for the day is, going back to you personally, this is your first day out. If something happens and your first day out doesn't work exactly as you envisioned, you hoped, what then, sir?
That's like a worst case scenario question, right?
Yeah. So what then? What do you do? What does Sasha do then? What then?
That's a good question. So in my intro to deving in the space was basically a trial by fire. Like I put myself between normal people and hackers and scammers and black hats and like entire organizations sometimes, which is kind of crazy to think about. But as a person trying to defend these wallets, of these people who, for one reason or another, got compromised, and that journey was like ridiculous. Like I could write a whole like book or blog or whatever about that journey, and I didn't always win. I 1,000% would not say that I was batting, 1,000 out there. Like there were fights that I lost. There were fights that I didn't even come close to winning. There were ones that I could have done better on. But all that happened from that, besides being like, oh shit, like that sucks. You learn from it and you grow from it, and that's kind of what you have to do when you're kind of putting yourself out there and putting yourself out towards the community, because you're not always going to get it right. Even the best devs out there, they're the best devs because they've done so much other stuff. They've learned, they've learned their lessons. They've turned back around and then either built something else or fixed it or whatever. So I want to say that nothing is going to happen and that this is going to go great. And I think actually, generally speaking, it's a pretty sound and solid concept. So I don't see there being a lot of space for, malicious activity like that. But if something did happen, personality-wise, what I would want to do is, you take the L, you lick your wounds, and then you learn from it and march on. I'm not really the kind of dev that's gonna like go turn around a tomb fork or something. Like I'm not looking to cash out on anybody or like make a quick buck. That's not really what we're here for. It's more about DApp building, community building, and having fun. And God forbid something happens, we would do whatever we can to make it right. If we can't, what you do is you learn from it. But also I don't. I'll back up a little bit. So there, oftentimes in the space when a DApp explodes, there are two reasons. One is an exploit, and then where a third party did something malicious, and then another one is when the team rugs. There's no, I mean, there's no chance of us rugging because like we're not going to. What I always tell people from when I'm trying to help them is that like there's not a lot that I can tell you to make you trust me, because that's just not how it works. Like I can't be like, oh well, trust me, and you're like, oh yeah, well okay, now I trust you. But there are a lot of people out there that have helped in the communities, and I'm pretty well known. So if you go into any of those community chats or whatever, ask around about me. Most of the admins in this corner of DeFi and BSC have at least heard of me or referred people to me. I'm a pretty genuine guy. I'm not running away with anybody's money. I've had a lot of opportunities to, and I never have. So, hopefully that track record speaks for itself a little bit. And then the other side of that is the exploit side. Every team, does what they can because nobody wants an exploit, unless it's a team doing it, and then I should classify it as a rug. But we're gonna do everything that we can to make sure there are no exploits and there are no things that people can, you know, mess with or contract with or like extract any funds or anything crazy like that. It's just yeah. I don't know. We're gonna do everything we can to keep everybody who plays and ourselves safe. Is what it kind of boils down to because that's such an important thing to me.
Yeah, I wasn't. I know it's an unfair question. I just again, I'm looking
No,
at this.
it's a good question.
I'm looking at it from a different perspective because I'm looking for up and coming people that I know that when they do this, okay, I can put money here, because it's too hard for me personally. It's too hard to just keep trusting new people that pop up. So I keep my eye out for. I think of them as houses in my head. Yeah, I think of them like this. This is the house of. This is the house of this. This is the house of that. I think of people in terms like that, and in my head, I'm thinking, okay, they're going to evolve into this. They're going to build this. They're going to evolve into this ecosystem, and I'm like, okay, well, I'll be there if they do that. And if they fuck up, I'm like, oh, well, you showed me you fucked up by, things like that. So
no, I feel you.
Yeah, because I know every AMA is supposed to be about just that project and that project alone, but for continuity's sake, for my sake, it's not really about that. It's about I'm looking for a stable of things that are going to be reliable for me in the long run. Yes, a few people I'm going to talk to are going to fall off, but then some of those people are going to keep coming back and keep trying new different things. They're going to keep innovating. They're going to be like, okay, well, this worked. Okay, that was awesome. What can we do here? Well, that didn't work. Fuck, let's try this, Let's try this with that. And I think you'll be one of those people.
I hope so too. I think that there are a lot of those examples in the area, like in our little corner of DeFi, and that's
Right.
pretty cool. You see the same devs that sometimes good, sometimes bad, but you see the same devs coming out with new projects, hopefully not, just forks of forks of forks, but actually like true innovative things. And that's what I look for. And being in the kind of white hat space, a lot of people come to me being like, hey, is this safe? Is this project okay? Should I even put my money here? And I'm like, first of all, not financial advice. Second of all, I usually tell people to look more at the team because contracts are complicated. Your average layperson out there is not going to be able to look at a contract and be like, oh yeah, that's an exploit. Even when I look at contracts, I'm like, after the fact, I can be like, oh yeah, I can see how that was exploited. But, at the time, if you're just looking through 1,000 lines of solidity, or even more, like 5,000 lines of solidity, you're not going to be like, oh yeah, that's an exploit and that's an exploit and that. And that's what the audit companies are for. But even they miss it half the time because, almost all the big exploits have been audited, which is kind of crazy to think about, but like, it's true.
The thing is, like, okay, audits are cool in theory, but audits can only test for things that have come up before.
Mm-hmm.
It has nothing to do with this DeFi and blockchain and programming as a whole, because the whole programming is like poetry. Every day somebody's taking this code and reimagining it and doing it in a different way. So you can't ever really protect against all those outcomes, if that makes sense. There's too many permutations, too many mutations for you to always be like, oh, this is safe. This is safe. It's an impossibility because
The
at least
audit
in
is
my
really
eyes.
for you. The audit's
Huh?
really for you. It's for you.
Right.
It's,
Like
it's not for the developer. The
me
developer, they can.
personally, Me personally, I know that I'm capable enough, I'm smart enough that I could figure out how to read the code. And do I want to do that? No. God, that sounds so awful. It sounds boring as fuck. Like, God, no, I don't want to do that. So, I don't, I know a lot of people in this space that are doing what I'm doing. They actually go and they read the code, they do this. But that sounds awful. I'm glad that you can. I'm so happy for you that you can look at code and be happy with it. But I look at it and I'm fucking miserable. So
That's it. That's such a big thing. Like this is an aside. This has nothing to do with the project, but just generally, something that I learned very recently is that there are things that suck the life out of you, and then there are things that breathe life into you. And I overcommitted myself to a thing that was sucking the life out of me, and I didn't want to. Uh, I didn't want to give it up because I said I'd do it, and it was like I had to, and
Mhm.
it was a good decision. I feel bad about it, but it was still a good decision because you know, you
Yeah,
say yes to everything, and then
but you're just so
um,
happy it's done.
yeah. But that also taught me. It was also outside of my like normal wheelhouse, you know, and it wasn't one of the things that I really like love doing. Like for me, you know, helping people on here and like data stuff in my normal life is like what breathes life into me. Like I really love data and moving it around and analyzing it and stuff like that. And writing code is super fun too. But this was just something different. Um, and it really reinforced that for me. Like, you know, if you're on the fence about it, just say no. Um, and just don't do it. And then you'll get somebody else to do it. Get somebody who it does, spark joy for.
Right, right. I like putting pieces together. I like organizing things and seeing where they go. I don't like looking under the skirt of things. And I have a general overview of how things can go. I think that's enough for my purposes, and I don't enjoy the nitty gritty. I don't enjoy programming at all. It's the worst.
It can be sometimes.
Give me a break.
It's not for everybody. Yeah, for sure. One
Anyway.
other thing I wanted to mention, I know we're probably like way over now, but something in this space that really blew my mind and opened my eyes was when BSC had that bridge attack. Like
Mhm.
basically the entire chain had that attack,
I
and
remember.
then the entire chain shut down, and they rolled it back. But like that, the fact that that could even happen just blew my mind so ridiculously. And then beyond that, a little while ago, I don't know if you guys remember, but Viper, one of the big like not a competitor, but it's like a Python version of Solidity, had an exploit where it wasn't guarding against reentrancy the way that it should have, and that wrecked a bunch of protocols. Like those big players and like the entire chains and stuff like sometimes have these oversights and exploits, and it's just like it's mind blowing. And part of it, and there are entire Twitters and blogs and like whatever dedicated to this about how crazy the DeFi space is when it comes to security, and that's really something that as a whole DeFi has to work on for
Yeah.
sure because
I mean,
the like the safety, like if you put $100,000 into your 401k, you're not like, oh, some hacker in China rugged me. Like if for us to be a real player, we need to like tamp down on all of these things because it can't to get the public's
should
trust and get widespread adoption, you can't have this happening all the time, which it
should
kind of is, which is unfortunate,
should,
but
should
it's
code be law?
nuts.
Should code be law? What do you like? Apart aside from all that other stuff, like the protecting from it and all that stuff. Should code be law? Like Binance, that's the entire reason we have Ethereum Classic and all that stuff was because of that rollback. For
Hmm.
you, should code be law? Would you have let that hack happen? Because like, okay, I did it. I fucked up. The code was bad, but here it is, and here it is there.
That's
the reason I bring it up is there's been some, especially in our corner where you read the white paper, it states this, it states that, and then all of a sudden um, there's a message saying that it's not that anymore, and it's not what you agreed to, so to speak. And then so what do you think? Okay, going back to making the question shorter, should
yeah.
code be law?
That's tough, man.
It
So
is.
ha I'm actually not split, but I'm going to start this by saying that I'm split because the DeFi side of me that is like, you know, self-custody is the way, and like people should not trust these institutions that are manipulating and stealing from them, and like centralization is the enemy. Like all of those things that are bouncing around my head say yes, code should be law, and that so nobody should be able to go in and just like freeze your assets or like take your shit, you know. But I've seen a lot on the other side of that, um, by the nature of like the white hat kind of stuff that I do, and it's it's insane. Honestly, the like if that hacker that hacked the Binance bridge and got how many ever hundreds of thousands of BNB or whatever he got, like millions of dollars, 500 million. It's like it was something crazy. It's like $500 million. Like if that was just allowed, then like it would basically wreck the whole chain, you know? And then in that has a domino effect and hurts so many people. Like look at, I don't want to get too far into it, but like SBF and uh like that whole FTX deal, like that hurt a ton of people. All of these centralized exchanges that were just doing whatever the fuck they want and like hurting people because they can. It, it's not just even those people. It hurts the entire industry as a whole. It tanked, Luna, and it's bad. It's really bad. And so I want that. And as a singular individually, as a singular individual, I think decentralization is a good thing, and it's something we should strive for. But the other side of it is just so catastrophic and destructive and bad for crypto as a whole that there needs to be a balance. And some would argue, and I totally agree with this as well, which is kind of an opposing view, that decentralization is really a 1 or 0. You either are decentralized or you're not.
Right.
And that dichotomy would indicate that I'm basically advocating for not, which to an extent is kind of true. But it's hard. It's a really hard gray space, and the amount of money and people, like the hurt that comes from these people who are losing, sometimes their life savings is really bad, and there's no recovery from it. Like this one person that I helped lost a ton of money in one of the CXs. I think it's Voyager, I want to say. Like they're relatively old, and it was their retirement. It's just gone. There's no recourse for them. Like there's nothing that they can do. And these people don't give a fuck, Like they don't care who they hurt. They just do all these things, think they'll never get caught, think they'll never lose, and then they do, and they lose billions or millions or intentionally do it, which is even worse on the black hat side. And you're just rugging like an insane amount of people and just destroying lives with no care concept of the people that you're actually hurting, and that's hard, and that's really bad.
I don't know. I don't want to run. I don't want to be running in my life. I'm too fat to be running.
I don't know how these people sleep, honestly. Even the low level scammers that hit you up and are like, "Hi, I'm Rose. Can I help you with your seed phrase?" Like even those people like.
So,
I don't know. I don't know how they do it.
Well, I want to thank you for stopping by, Sasha. I've kept you much too long.
It's always a pleasure.
I'm very much looking forward to Infinite Lottery. You've answered all my questions and then some and all. And thank you again for letting me get on the side tangents. is there anything you want to leave us with, sir? Oh yes, we do have to give away money, and I know that we have some stuff, but we have 3 or 4 things to give away. But the big one, give it to Crypto God. The other one, we can do whatever.
I
Simple
think
enough.
my associates are gonna take over in that. I think we wanted to do it in our channel, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, cool.
I
But
think
the big prize goes to him because he's been the most participant.
for sure. And I appreciate it.
What the fuck am I trying to say?
Participatory?
Is that the word?
Mm-hmm. Think
He's
so.
a participatorious girl. Anyways, I'm gonna turn the recording off, but we're gonna do the giveaway in the chat. So stick around. Congrats, Crypto God, on being I forgot what the word is again. But anyways, thanks for stopping by, guys.
Thank you.
Participatorious.
No one pays me a gum.